Hello again. You know, Valentine's Day is about 10 days away. And for many people, those who are in love or have a love or want to be in love, it's a wonderful holiday, a time of celebration of love. For other people who aren't in love or think about it differently, it's just another holiday to enrich the credit card, the companies that make cards, the chocolate makers, and maybe even the florists. Because love is obviously a very funny thing. We talk about falling in love. We talk about falling head over heels for people. We talk about falling out of love. The operative word is falling. It's that uncontrolled feeling of surrender to someone else or falling out of love with something. We don't know what's happening until it's over. And I was reminded of a time when our family rented a house on the California coast, and all three of my children, well, I think all three of them were there. We were walking on the beach. I was walking on the beach with my son. We're walking along the beach. My son and I were ahead of my daughter, my wife, and we were talking. We usually start with sports, talk about sports. We were just talking about his stay in the Peace Corps. He was on vacation from the Peace Corps for 2 weeks. He'd come back to the Philippines to be with us. We were having a wonderful time. And in the middle of the conversation, he turned to me and he said, "Dad, I have a question for you. May I ask you for advice?" How often does your adult son ask you for advice? I thought, a millisecond, all these opportunities, this falling out of love, all those flashed before my mind. I had a millisecond to come up with an answer that was not too long, something he could remember, not too Buddha-like, something hopefully he could take with him. And so I turned to him and I said, "You know, Dan, I think you know you're in love when you don't have to ask the question." I wish during that millisecond, I wish that I had remembered all those things before I fell in love, before I met the woman who I've been with for over 37 years. I remembered a time way back when I was younger, when I came back from being a VISTA volunteer. I'd left college. I'd given up a football scholarship because I figured out that I actually didn't like hitting people, which is a problem when you play football. So I left college, came back, and I was working in a steakhouse, flipping steaks for 6 or 8 hours a day. Sweating, my smock would be covered with grease. I smelled like a steak. It was awful. I was sweaty. It was awful work. But this new, lovely, red-headed waitress started. She had these beautiful fawn-like eyes, those lost in the forest eyes. And I thought, wow, this is somebody I need to know. But there was a sadness about her eyes. And of course, me being on my way to becoming a social worker, having worked as a VISTA volunteer, I thought, I'm going to get on my white horse and get to know this person. And so we would have coffee over and over again after work. Me in my sweaty outfit, her in her cute little thing they made her wear, like a waitress. And I fell in love. And so for 2 or 3 months, we had the most passionate, lovely affair. I would go meet with her after work. Sometimes I would stay at her house, sometimes she would stay in my apartment. It was amazing. And then one day, she came to work. We met, having our usual coffee afterward, and she said, "Rob, I'm giving my notice. I'm going back to San Francisco." I was stunned. And I thought, San Francisco? Up until that point, I'd never been there. I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. So I said, "Would you like me to come?" And she sort of hemmed and hawed and said, "Well..." I thought to myself, oh boy, I must be falling in love with this person because I really want to go. So she moved. 2 weeks later, I moved. I'd never been to San Francisco. I got off in the airport, got in a taxi. I had no idea where I was going to stay, no idea where I was going to work. The taxi cab driver, I sat in the front seat of the taxi cab, and he looked at me. He said, "Where are you from, boy?" And I said, "I'm from Hawaii," in my friendly little Hawaiian voice. He said, well, in the future, boy from Hawaii, you sit in the back seat. Yes, sir. He said, where do you want to go? I said, I have no idea. Take me to someplace that reminds you of Hawaii. He said, I have just the place. We drove for 20 minutes up the Bay Shore Freeway, and we came into this place, I think it was